Welcome fellow travelers to the new podcast hosted by Anthony Stone. Whether it's the paranormal, UFOs or conspiracy theories, I hope you will join us. You're listening to Paranormal Night Owl Radio.
From the hills of Dawson, Georgia, here we go with a special Paranormal Night Owl Radio edition. And this is a dedicated to Coast to Coast AM former host and creator, ArtBell. As you know, ArtBell passed away Friday the 13th of all days, 2018. And we are going to pay tribute to that tonight. I'm doing this with a special live stream on YouTube, and follow that will be posted to my podcast journals, the one for the Paranormal Night Owl Radio and the main one, the A.P.S network, which is my Podomatic page. It'll be posted there first. It'll be archived later, but here we go. This very intro to the podcast. Now this is a clip from the Coast to Coast, the very Coast to Coast, that I discovered, ArtBell. And I brought this up sometime earlier, on my old journal I used to link my podcast to, the RNR100fm.com live journal. And I was privileged to actually find this clip, and now I'm going to pull it out again, just to pay tribute to ArtBell. So here we go. We're going to go to this clip. And I'm going to say how I actually discovered it, and I may have done told this in the previous podcast that I brought this up. Years ago, I bought this little, it was back when they started making the cheaper versions, you know, the old Walkmans. They used to be high dollar. But they started putting out these budgeted versions that come with headphones and speakers. And well, I bought me a set of those. They were at the dollar store, the dollar store, I think. They were black. No, this one might have been from Kmart. This was an actual Wilco. It was from Kmart. I remember I had to take it back. It didn't work right. But it had a tape player, and it had a radio on it. And that night I laid there listening to those headphones, those Bud headphones. I don't believe it. I believe it may have had the regular ones. I don't remember if it had the Buds or the regular. I think it had the Buds. I'm pretty sure it had the Buds. Sorry about that. I dropped the recorder, but and I was flipping through the AM dial like I always like to do because I loved AM radio at night in particular. And then I run into that music playing, and I heard that voice just like you heard there, or like you're going to hear. And from that night on, I listened to ArtBell. So here we go. Here's this special clip from Coast to Coast AM when he interviewed John Lear in 1994. And then we'll go to the podcast, which will read several tributes to him, plus cover the news on Paranormal Night Owl Radio, the special Tuesday edition.
From the high desert and the great American Southwest, I bid you all good evening or good morning, and welcome to another edition, a Friday night, Saturday morning edition of Coast to Coast AM. Live talk radio throughout the night time. Now the largest, fastest growing all-night program in America. Period. It's good to be with you. I promised you John Lear this morning, and so it shall be. Put a little tweak in there, didn't I? All right, John Lear. It's been a long time since John has been on the program. John doesn't really do interviews to speak of. A lot of you don't know who John Lear is, so John Lear is an airline captain. He is that now. He's flown 160 different types of aircraft in over 50 different countries in all types of flying. Experimental test flying, production test flying, airline passenger flying, cargo hauling, movie work, stunt flying, aircraft ferrying, air dropping missions, air racing, and government secret missions of all kinds. Lear has held 18 world speed records in the Learjet, including speed around the world, and holds the most FAA airman certificates issued to a single individual, which include the airline transport rating, flight instructor, ground instructor, navigator, flight engineer, flight dispatcher, airframe and power plant mechanic.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to a special Tuesday's edition of the Paranormal Night Owl Radio, and I hope I can do this. This is going to be like reading Fats Domino's death a few months back in one of my podcasts. I had to actually cut out some of the silence. The reason I'm doing a special edition, this isn't a Saturday night, it's a Tuesday night, and I learned about it over Saturday night about around 8 p.m. I got the Coast to Coast newsletter in my email box, and I hadn't checked my emails all day because I spent most of my day enjoying it. Indeed, you can hear my enjoyment in my podcasts for Saturday or Sunday. It was recorded Saturday, but you can. I just basically took a day. I mean, I've been basically taking a whole week here nearly. I barely look at any news. I knew about the World War III glooming. I mean, you couldn't escape that. You'd had to totally been under a rock and no media at all to escape that. I didn't hear about ArtBell's passing. I read it and I saw the email. And as you heard before, and I've already played this once before in a older podcast, when I was thinking about all my people that influenced me, and I always give ArtBell the main credit. I know people don't like that prot words. Some of the older folks, I always give ArtBell the main prot because, well, he was the one that really got me into talk radio. I mean, I used to watch the daytime talk shows like Sally Jesse Raphael, and I'd hear her in the nighttime sometimes. She had a radio version of a program, I think she did. And I'm pretty sure it was her. And it would play in the nights, and somewhere in the AM dial, I'd hear it. I believe it was her. It might not have been her. But I did watch her on television. I do remember watching her on TV. And then I would hear little pieces of Larry every once in a while on the radio. I didn't ever listen to Larry King. Indeed, ArtBell took Larry King's place in my area. He was on at that spot, and that's when ArtBell come along. And I run into ArtBell in 1994. It was a September night, and John Lear was on, as you heard the intro. And I hope Coast to Coast don't mind me using it, because I just wanted to pay tribute to the first time I heard ArtBell, and that was the first show, and thank God it's on YouTube. I couldn't believe it when I found that it was on YouTube. Because, you know, everything you hear, I can't even remember the first time I heard Savage. It was sometime one summer night in 2000, and was it 4? I believe it's 2004. This was the first time I actually heard Michael Savage. Michael Savage is the other person I always give the second big props to, because there ain't nobody politically who inspires me more than Michael Savage. Indeed, I don't even have to be inspired by Michael Savage. I just think similar to him. I mean, there's a big difference because he's a older generation person, and I'm one of these unfortunately newer generations that's been polluted And I'm sure he's had his pollutions throughout the years as well. Been polluted by the times of our generations. I'm one of the Generation Xers, as they used to call them, born in 1975. I'm hoping I can read this article, but if I do break up, you'll understand. It's a very long article. It's from the Midnight in the Desert website. That is his radio program that he started and turned it over to some other lady that he knew, his friend. So I'm going to read the article. I'll try to read it in full. I hope I don't count that as plagiarism, because I'm not trying to plagiarize them. I just want to pay tribute to ArtBell. So here we go. I'm going to try to read this. I will try to cover some other news too. It may not be paranormal news here in these special, and I'm going to play it. I'm going to stream this one live. It won't be recorded live, and if you want to talk to in the chat room or drop in by in the chat room, it'll be after midnight. It'll be on YouTube. Tuesday night. I'm recording this right now at 4:54 a.m. We're on the brink here in the East Coast of daylight. At 5 a.m. 4:54. It'd be about time for Dracula to go to bed. I just woke up. I fell asleep. Thank God, too, I've got an eye appointment today. So here we go. I'm going to read this. This is from Midnight in the Desert Live Late Night Talk Radio. ArtBell takes his final ride. R.I.P. April 15th, 2018. It is with great and deep sadness that we report ArtBell passed away last Thursday night, Friday morning, peacefully in his sleep, most likely due to the complications from his long-diagnosed COPD. It seems appropriate. And I had to click the link. It seems appropriate that he died on Friday the 13th, being the king of paranormal radio for many decades, has championed the explorations into the unknown, strange world of the afterlife and high strangeness of every kind. That's one of the things that I liked about ArtBell, by the way, because he talked about the things that I was interested in. Like I'm telling everybody, the Paranormal Night Owl Radio is going to be my fun podcast, where I have fun. Unfortunately, this is not the podcast that I wanted to do, but I have to do it because I think it's appropriate. And I made it a special Tuesday edition, not a Saturday night. I may, after this, we'll just see. I would like to really have this one as my main podcast over all the others, because this subject really, I'm like him. Politics you get tired of, and he got tired of politics, and he used to cover it in his beginning, so I read somewhere about him. I hope it's true. It's from Wikipedia. He got tired of it, and he converted. So I'm going to finish this article. Okay, here we go. Go back to the article. Art had a fascination with the afterlife, and it's heartwarming to know he peacefully slipped into the next world and now knows the answers he sought for so long. Art pioneered paranormal radio with his creation in the 1990s of a weekly show, Dreamland, which eventually spread to his nightly show, Coast to Coast AM. The style, topics, and guests all brought in a new wave of listeners to late night talk radio. He always strived for quality in the production and content phrases of his show. He also allowed for the spontaneity of the unknown by always taking calls from unscreened open lines, which brought a certain sense of intimacy to the program. Now, after I broadcast this thing, it will be posted to my podcast outlets I've still got to put some of my podcast up on the other thing since I've been taking this long needed break. And I shouldn't have waited to my anniversary. That's how stupid I was. But I just felt like I needed it. I mean, when you do this long enough, and I know anybody that's doing this, they know every once in a while you need a break. Especially if you're dealing with the dark forces of the deep state and the real paranormal nightmares, the real vampires in this world. I mean, it's obvious they're controlled by some outer being, some forces behind us and a devil. But I mean, if you want to know real vampires, go up against George Soros. Go up against those dark shadows we don't know. The real shadow people. The shadow people in the government. Okay, so let's get back to this. He led the way for numerous others to not be afraid of exploring the paranormal on mainstream radio. The early days of Art's nightly program was centered around the politics of the day. At a certain point, he got tired of the same old political talk. Oh, they covered that in this article. The same old political talk, and deemed paranormal the direction he wanted to take. That would be the direction I would like to take too, but we got so much important garbage going on in this world that I feel like I'd be wasting my radio program if I didn't dedicate some of it to speaking out against this darkness. After decades of paranormal radio, after his final retirement, Art drifted back to speaking his mind on politics on his very popular Facebook page. He also selected recent producer of his show, Heather Wade, to take over the reins of his paranormal search on the air. Months before he died, Art expressed that he felt the show he created was being competently hosted by Heather and was proud of her to carry on the tradition. He felt his legacy is in good hands. Art was an avid ham radio operator. And that's another thing that I have in common with ArtBell. I always loved radios. I especially loved listening to the shortwave radio. I bought my first one in 1998, I think. It was a little big pocket one. And it tore up. And then it was one of them little pocket ones you could buy in the things you didn't know existed and all that catalogs. But I'd flip through them dials like I was ready to. The internet don't give that feeling like you was turning that needle. And them old new digital radios don't give that feeling either. There's something about turning that needle. And when you turn that needle, it had some feeling to it, especially when you was browsing the world radio. I mean, you'd hear all them sounds and all those fade outs, and it felt kind of mystic. I loved radio too. I've never been a ham operator or anything, but I've always loved radios. Art was an avid ham radio operator and enjoyed communicating both professionally and on the ham bands. He had one of the best sounding ham stations on the air. Of course, he had one of the best voices anyway, but he was also an expert broadcaster and was frequently talking to others in the middle of the night on weekends. He's like Savage. He had a great voice. Savage has a great voice. He had a great night voice. He went by the call signs of W60BB. He is now referred to as the Silent Key by the amateur radio community. He lived his life to the fullest and made an impact on everyone he knew, while he reinvented talk radio into the culture phenomenon now known as the paranormal talk. ArtBell brought wonder, curiosity, fascination to us, and the landscape of late-night radio was never the same. He was a national treasure and left a mark on the world that will always be timeless, as he was. Host of the Midnight in the Desert, Heather Wade, said his friendship was a true honor, and to have been mentored by him is a treasure beyond description. Oh, by the way, and I just thought of this years and years ago, I actually got to speak to ArtBell. I've never spoke to any of the other talk people that I've listened to, but I got to speak to ArtBell for a few seconds. This was about either 90-something, Lord, I can't remember. Was it 96? I called the show a few minutes before it was to go to air. And he actually answered. And he said, hello? And I said, yes, I'm just calling. And I knew it was him. I said, I'm calling for the ArtBell program, or the Coast to Coast AM. And he said, yes, but you're a few minutes early, unfortunately, so I'm going to have to hang up on you, but you can call back there in the show. I actually heard that voice, and I just got to speak to him for a split second. So I actually did get to speak to ArtBell, and I just thought about that. I forgot all about it. I forgot all about it. It was years ago. It was either 90-something. I don't remember if it was 95, 96, because we're talking about years ago. And it was only a brief second. But that's the only time I ever spoke to ArtBell. And I didn't get on the air, but I did get to speak to him. Most of Midnight in the Desert, Heather Wade said his friendship was a true honor, and to have been mentored by him is a treasure beyond description. I will never do what he wanted. I will do what he wanted, and carry on Midnight in the Desert in the way that he taught me. His loss cuts deep, as I recall the countless moments of advice, laughter, excitement, guidance, and priceless wisdom. Being friends with ArtBell meant there was never a dull moment, and it is impossible to convey how much I will miss him, or how much I miss him. His fans will forever be grateful for an incredible ride ArtBell gave them, and he will always be remembered and sadly missed. Godspeed, ArtBell. And that was from the Midnight in the Desert radio show. Since I'm here, I'm going to go look and see if we have some news here. And I'm going to go ahead and see what kind of news that they've covered here. And this is going to be headlines from their page. Super flares may make it hard for life to thrive on Earth's nearest exoplanet. This was from April 13th, 2018. The nearest exoplanet to the Earth may get hit hard by damaging ultraviolet radiation, making it tough for life to survive there. A new study suggests that planet, that roughly Earth mass proximity, circles the small, and I'm just going to go click a bit of this to finish it. Circles the small dim star Proxima Centauri, which lies just 4.2 light years from Earth, and Proxima b orbits in the host star habitable zone, the just right range of the distance where the liquid water could theoretically exist on the world's surface. And these are just going to be headlines. I'm going to try to stop where I can sound sensible before I get to the end of it. So here we go. Can AI really solve Facebook's problems? April 13th, 2018. And this is from the day that ArtBell died. Congress interrogated Facebook founder and CEO Mark Zuckerberg for 2 days this week over his company's privacy policies, and it's apparent the inability to prevent the misuse of its social media platforms by some promoting hatred and terrorism. No, the world is not going to end on April 23rd. April 13th, 2018. Here we go again. Fresh reports claim that the end of the world is nigh, forgetting that we were all a little burned out by the 2012 end of the Maya calendar debacle outlets such as the Daily Express. Now I'm going to switch here and go to the actual website that ArtBell used to be on. It used to be ArtBell.com. And it's called Coast to Coast AM.com. Now I'm going to go look at some of the news since we are doing a Paranormal Night Owl Radio, and I'm going to go ahead and cover some actual news for the day at the end of this, since I'm not having an unedited. So here we go. I'm going to cover some news from Coast to Coast AM. They gave it a new look. I actually like the new look of the website. I haven't seen it. Some of their news is the same as, but I'm going to, if I can get it to load, it's been very slow. Sorry. We're going to actually read what Coast to Coast had to say about ArtBell. It may be the same thing. We'll see. R.I.P. ArtBell, 1945 through 2018. April 14th, 2018. We're profoundly saddened with the news that the creator and the original host of Coast to Coast AM, ArtBell, has passed away at the age of 72 at his home in Bermuda. While serving in the U.S. Air Force in the Vietnam War, he indulged his childhood passion for radio by operating a pirate station that played anti-war music, otherwise unavailable on official channels broadcast to the American servicemen. Following his time in the service, his love of radio led him to working as a disc jockey for an English language station in Japan, where he set a Guinness World Record for broadcasting an astounding 116 hours straight. This is no mere radio stunt, however, as it served to raise funds to rescue over 100 Vietnamese orphans left stranded by the conflict in their country. Upon return to the United States, he entered the world of talk radio with an overnight program on KDWN in Las Vegas. After noticing that episodes covering conspiracy theories and paranormal topics generated considerable interest from listeners, Bell transformed the show from a political talk to discussion of those often forbidden realms. Syndicated nationally in 1993, and I listened to them, I discovered them the next year. Coast to Coast AM soon became a juggernaut and bona fide radio phenomenon. During the 1990s, when the X-Files had people wondering about the world of high strangeness, ArtBell was the voice of that world, introducing millions of radio listeners to a vast array of paranormal topics, and the researchers that studied them. Over the course of countless programs throughout the decade and into the 2000s, ArtBell captivatedly listened by way of his intellectually curious and open-minded conversations with guests who were attempting to find answers to the paranormal mysteries which baffle us all. Although he retired from full-time hosting duties at the end of 2002, Art returned to the occasionally helmed Coast to Coast AM programs on weekends and later launched his own satellite radio program, ArtBell's Dark Matter, as well as an internet-based endeavor called Midnight in the Desert. As founder of the Coast to Coast AM, his role in crafting and shaping this program can be felt to this day in elements like the iconic phone lines emancipating from the east of the Rockies, west of the Rockies, and the always unpredictable wild card line, and as well as the annual Coast to Coast AM Halloween specials, and of course C2C's signature opening theme song. We extend our deepest condolences to ArtBell's family and friends. We celebrate him for his brilliant creation of Coast to Coast AM and the many unforgettable moments he shared with us over the years. As he begins his journey on the other side, we take solace in the hope that he is now finding out all of those answers to the mysteries he pursued for so many nights with all of us. And I'm pretty sure if he believed in God, hopefully he believed in God, he's been welcomed over there by God, and maybe God has a radio station for him somewhere. Hopefully. That would be my prayer. I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and I'll read some news headlines from Coast to Coast AM, and then I'll move to the Infowars.com and report some news. Since this will be the unedited for today, but it's not unedited, it's the Paranormal Night Owl Radio, and this is going to be a special broadcast edition of the Paranormal Night Owl Radio, and I will be available to chat on the chat room on the YouTube platform. And as soon as it gets up on YouTube, I'm going to try to make an archive recording of it at the same time. We'll see. If my computer allows it, I'll make an archive recording and it'll go straight to the MP3 platforms. But I'm going to actually broadcast this one live. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am back. And here we go. In the news. This is from Infowars.com's front page. And this is going to be news headlines from Coast to Coast AM. Mystery booms across U.S. Sparks secret underground WW3 preparation fears. Daily Star. Queen Mary opens up its haunted hotel suite for an overnight ghostly experience. Forbes.com. What would happen if a nuclear bomb went off in a major city? Mail Online. Watch AI create a 3D model of a person from just a few seconds of a video. Lord, that is horrible. A few seconds from a video? Think of the scariness of that. It creates a 3D person of them. That's like we was talking about in that, they didn't talk about it. There's a X-Files in this past season where you had that guy that was dead. He was on the telephone speaking to Mulder and Scully. And he was actually 3D, and he would static out. He's the guy with the glasses. Lord, that's scary. Man invents insane cake serving machine. Unexplained mysteries. Let's click more here. I'm going to go back down to where we cover some more headlines here. Aliens may be stranger than we can imagine. Saturday, April 14th, 2018. New scientific theories allow for aliens based on dark matter or formed from alternate universes. New York Post. Can sci-fi predict our future? Saturday, April 14th. Tech and other companies use science fiction laboratory to guide research. Marketplace. Medieval Italian man replaced his arm with a knife. Saturday, April 14, 2018. The most interesting men of the 6th or 7th or 8th century. Science alert. Endangered turtle has green hair and breathes through its genitals. Saturday, April 14, 2018. The only thing missing is ninja skills. New York Times. Strange creature kills 2 dogs in Argentina. Saturday, April 14th. And we know what year it is. It's 2018. Gargoyle-looking creature may have been captured in photo and explicit. Friday the 13th is back. Here's why it scares us. Friday, April the 13th, 2018. Find out how the date got its unlucky reputation and how even non-believers may be influenced by our collective triskaidekaphobia. National Geographic News. Soar over Jupiter's monster polar storms with a stunning NASA video. Friday, April 13th, 2018. The massive cyclones that swirl near Jupiter's north pole glow like a lava in a gorgeous new 3D flyover video. Bad news, night owls. People who go to bed later may be at risk of poor health. I have lots of that. Friday, April the 13th, 2018. New studies followed over 430,000 adults in the United Kingdom between the ages 38 to 73 for 6.5 years. ABC News. And there we go. I'm going to... Oh, here we go. Mystery of Giants cause a wave solved. Friday, April 13th, 2000. This is going to be the last one I read. Scientists discover how cooling lava cracks the stunning prisms made famous by the Irish tourists attracted at the Devil's Crucible. Posted pile in the U.S. Daily Mail. So here we go. And thank you for listening to this part, and we'll be back with some coverage from Infowars.com. And then that'll be the end of the show. Hello everyone, this is Anthony Stone for the A.P.S. show and A.P.S. Unedited. I hope you will follow my podcast and go to RNR100fm.com, and I'm also now on iTunes, so you can get my podcast there. You can get it at RNR100fm.com, or you can get the latest edition at Podomatic. But no matter what, make sure you rate, subscribe, and like, and share on social media, because the social media networks and Google, Facebook, Twitter, and etc. are trying to stop free speech, and the Democrats are actually suing people for your free speech. But we must stand tall for the First Amendment. Now support alternative media websites. Support InfoWars. Support Hagman and Hagman. Support the little people as well. Let's just make sure they don't trample free speech. Thank you for listening, and we'll go right back to the podcast. Now, as I stated in my opening statements, the people that inspired me in talk radio was, and I used to watch these when I was a kid, Donahue, Maury Povich, Sally Jesse Raphael, and who can forget Geraldo Rivera. I watched that show regularly. And then there was Jenny Jones, of course. I watched her too. I used to love the talk, even the daytime talk. Never was big on Jerry Springer. He was more like, I do watch it from time to time. I did watch it back then, but I didn't really like it too well. I thought it was a little... I probably should have, because you know me, I like the trash talk too. I like wrestling. For some reason, I didn't never really get off on that. And I didn't really get off on Howard Stern. But later on, over the years, and I noticed this just by watching this movie, it's in between the lines of Howard Stern about why they wanted him off the air. When you listen between the lines, he'd be doing jokes and dirty jokes, but in between he'd be telling what was going on in the public eye, especially in New York City. And I got to thinking, whoa, that's the real reason they attacked Howard Stern, is because Howard Stern would sort of inject these things into his talking points. Even though he could be telling you a dirty joke, he was slipping in, and I don't know if anybody else has ever noticed it or not. I noticed it. And I didn't even have to have it pointed out to me. I just noticed it. It was in between the lines why they didn't like Howard Stern. But this guy takes number 3 on my spot of main influential radio people. There's ArtBell, number 1, the king. Michael Savage, number 2, the king of New York, the king of the best voice I've ever heard, and the king of borders, language, and culture. And then we have the king who fights the New World Order, Alex Jones. So here we go, to Infowars.com. And I'm doing pretty good with this show today. So it was a sad show for me, but it's been a good show because I'm doing pretty good. I've stumbled a few times. I'm pretty proud of how I'm doing this show. And here we go. Here is the headlines for today, as of 5:23 a.m. on Monday, the, 16th, Monday the 16th of April, 2018. Paul Ryan, Comey, a man of integrity, as far as I know. What? A man of integrity? Swamp creatures has to stick together. SNL, De Niro, Stiller, Reprise. Meet the parents as Bob Mueller and Michael Cohen. What does any of this have to do with Russian collusion? New U.S. history school textbook slams Trump supporters as scared racists, afraid of rapidly developing ethnic diversity of the country. Twitter storm. Trump slams slippery James Comey as the worst stuff that Trump is doing in the White House. Trump vows to sanctions more airstrikes against Syria if Assad dares to use chemical weapons again. I don't think Assad used these weapons. We are prepared to sustain this pressure if the Syrian regime is foolish enough to test our will. I think this is Michael Bolton, Trump. This is the animal. He's got to go. That animal's got to go. You want to know who the animal of all animals was? It was Michael Bolton coming into your administration. Fire his butt. This guy's going to get World War III started. Security Council. Security Council unite. U.S., U.K., and France won't unite to back their illegal Syrian strikes. It is now for the UN Security Council to unite and take an initiative on the political, chemical, and humanitarian questions in Syria. WikiLeaks secret cable overthrow the Syrian regime, but play nice with Russia. Saudi Arabia's long-term strategy in Syria has been to pressure regime change by all means available. Confusion. MSNBC Brian Williams calls President Trump Obama after Syria bombing. It all started at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Williams dramatically announced with about a 5-minute address by President Obama. Gingrich calls Mueller investigation breakdown of constitutional law. I think it's really very sobering and a real threat to every American. Exclusive. U.S. General leaks secret plan to overthrow Syria, start World War III. Trump talked of pulling out of Syria, but that goes against the globalist plan to take over the Middle East. Video. Ingram and Gorka's heated debate over Syrian strike. We can all pull out quotes from the framers about foreign entanglements, says Fox host. Breaking. Russia vows to retaliate for Syrian strike. That's what I'm worried about. World War III has never been closer. Video. Chuck E. Cheese's the rat cut. Chuck E. Cheese's the rat cut by female reporter. Fake reporter can't prove Alex Jones called Parkland students crisis actors. Watch. Do Americans even know about Syrian airstrikes? Live at the Second Amendment March in Austin. I didn't actually know when it was going on, but I sure did read about it the next day. Because, like I said, you'd have to be under a rock. I was trying to avoid news because I'm trying to just take me a breather. I mean, you have to take a breath after reading this stinky, skanky swamp. You need a break from the swamp every once in a while. I'm not even talking about InfoWars being the swamp here. We're talking about the real life. He's just reporting it. His radio and Savages too. These people are just reporting it. This swamp is disgusting. I have to take a break from it every once in a while. Video. Coalition strikes Syria. Now what? Russia has vowed to retaliate. Now I'm going to skip down here for a little bit. Independent Swiss lab. BZ toxin used in Skripal poisoning. U.S. UK produced, not Russian. Internationally recognized lab concludes. Nerve agent not produced by Russia. Former Deputy Director McKay admonished LPI officials from his own leaks. Who does that? Asked Congressman. People dancing in the streets, Syria, Russia, Iran, shrug off more limited than feared airstrikes. Thank God this was less than we had feared. We were scared of a bigger assault that could have been devastating. Hundreds of swamp creatures signed letter in support of Mueller and Rosenstein. Deep state circling wagons around phony Rochenbro. And I also heard that Alex Jones went on a rant about Trump. Yep, InfoWars' Alex Jones blasts Trump over airstrikes. He's crapping all over us. I'm going to read this article, then I'm going to close, and thank you for listening. This has been a special broadcast edition of the A.P.S show, and it's broadcasting on YouTube. And I'll try to tell about it early today, so if you want to listen to it, I'll be on at midnight, or somewhere after midnight. I'll let you know when I go on air. I'll make some tweets. I'll make some Facebook posts. And I'll even try to, for my Instagram people, I'll make an Instagram post about I'm fixing to go live. So here we go. I won't be playing no video games today. That's what I've been mostly doing live lately. But I'm going to read this article and then I'm going to close. InfoWars, Alex Jones blasts Trump over airstrikes. He's crapping all over us. We've made so many sacrifices and now he's crapping all over us. It makes me sick. The Hill, April 14, 2018. InfoWars founder Alex Jones ripped into President Trump on Friday night after the president authorized military airstrikes in Syria, saying the decision made him sick. If he had been a piece of crap from the beginning, it wouldn't have been so bad, a visibly emotional Jones said of Trump. We've made so many sacrifices, and now he's crapping all over us. It makes me sick. Jones said the decision to strike Syria was especially painful because Trump had been doing so good. Trump's now a fraud, Jones later said. Done. Elf Trump, he vented Friday. The conspiracy theorist who once interviewed Trump in 2015 during the presidential race said in January that the president had called him several times in the previous months, but he had missed his calls. His comments late Friday came after Trump announced that he had ordered precision strikes against Syria in retaliation for chemical weapons attack by Syrian leader Bashar Assad this weekend. And by the way, Assad probably didn't do these strikes. I'm going to say that. And with that, I close. Thank you for listening. And Jones explained that on a broadcast that he did. I heard him say that he pretty much went over there without knowing he was over there. I think I said Elf Trump last year when he did the strikes. I don't remember. I'd have to go out and get my archives out. I was pretty pissed at Trump last time. Thank God I wasn't on the radio this time. I wasn't doing my podcast because I'd have probably cussed Trump too. And with that, I close. But I'm not going to jump the Trump bandwagon, the hate Trump bandwagon. I don't think Alex Jones will either. But he will speak out against this madness. We will speak out against this betrayal. This is not what we voted for. We didn't vote for World War III. We voted for killing ISIS, building the border wall. Some of us border walls first. My sister, border wall was number one because Dalton is a suffering town from illegal trash. It suffered greatly. It used to have the paint everywhere. They sort of covered some of that up. You can still see evidence of it. There was days that it was really, really trashy back in the old days. I mean, they totally trashed this town up. I'd love to see ICE raid in here and get a lot of them. That's what I'm rooting for. But I'm not going to stand for this World War III crap. And Michael Bolton, this piece of trash, this piece of filth has got to go. But you would have got the same things with Hillary Rodham Clinton. I don't know if she made any statements with this one, but last year she made some statements about how she wanted to see the bombings. So thank you for listening. This has been the special YouTube edition. It'll probably get stricken down, but no fear. Hopefully it'll go out there live. But no fear. No fear. Because it will be posted to a podcast platform near you. So if you don't get to hear the live stream that I'm doing, you can join my chat room if you want to. Make some comments, ask me some questions or whatever. Anything you want to know or anything you would like me to talk about, you can just leave a comment there in that chat room and I'll answer it. Thank you for listening. I'll try to watch the chat room if I can get the computer to move. I've got a tablet computer. That's what I got now. So thank you for listening.
You've been listening to the Paranormal Night Owl Radio podcast hosted by Anthony Stone. Until next time, may God bless.
I saw lights bright in the sky. I saw lights brighter than the sun. I saw lights bright in the sky. I saw lights tonight brighter than the sun. UFOs in the sky. UFOs in the sky. We're lighting up the night. lighting up the night.